big business of cannabis. Acreage Holdings is the largest multi-state owner of cannabis licenses and assets in the United States. Maria Bartiromo sat down with former Speaker of the House and Acreage Holdings board member John Boehner, along with Kevin Murphy, the CEO of Acreage Holdings, to discuss their growing business.
You know, this business has taken off. I cannot believe how many cannabis companies there are going public, wanting to go public. Let me kick it off with you, Kevin. What's behind this sudden surge in interest of cannabis companies?
Well, I think going back to when I had gotten involved in 2011, very few people in the United States believed that cannabis had a place. Now, 2019, with all of the new states coming online, 33 states with a medical program, of which 10 of those states are adult use. Now we have more data, more education, and that is why today 95% of all people in the U.S. believe that cannabis should be available for medical use, and 66% of the country believes it should be available for adult use.
The push to legalize marijuana is moving. 33 states, as you say, plus Washington, D.C., have legalized it medically, but 10 states plus D.C. have legalized its use for recreational use. John Boehner, you went on the board of this company back in April of 2018. What did you see about this that was so interesting to you to step on the board?
Well, as someone who was in the political arena for nearly 35 years, when I look up and see 33 states approving the use of cannabis in some form, you begin to realize that there's something going on out there. And the American people are clearly moving on the subject. I feel like I was one of them. I opposed cannabis my entire career. But over the last 5 years or so, I felt myself moving. And then as I heard more and more anecdotal stories about people who were using cannabis for medicinal purposes, it began to convince me that I wanted to be part of this discussion. And over this last year, I couldn't be happier about the discussions I've had, what I've learned, and that, frankly, the success of Acreage Holdings.
Yeah. Well, you know, we've had Jack Brewer on this program a number of times, former NFL player, and he has opined about the fact that doctors give the football players opioids. They should be giving them marijuana because it's not addictive the way opioids are. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin fielded questions earlier this week in a Senate Finance Committee hearing on the conflicting federal and state marijuana laws. Lawmakers are arguing that it creates confusion for the cannabis businesses. So you think a lot has to change, Kevin. I want to ask you about that. And, John, I want to get your take on this, too. The regulatory environment has not caught up with all this euphoria around cannabis, has it?
Definitely has not. I think we are, in the United States, woefully behind the rest of the world, and had seen that firsthand in Davos, Switzerland. The Canadians are leading the capital markets. The Israelis are leading on research. And the U.S., again, with 33 states having a medical program, but yet it's still federally illegal because it's still a Schedule I drug, defined by the fact that as a Schedule I drug, it's believed that the plant has no medicinal value. So from our vantage point, we believe over the last 8 or 9 years, we have proven the fact that it can help a veteran, it can help an epileptic child.
Let's talk safety for a moment, because we know that tobacco causes cancer. Cigarettes have been forced to put smoking causes cancer right on the cigarette boxes. Can you tell us categorically no that marijuana does not cause cancer? I mean, what do we know about the safety of using cannabis?
Well, what we know about the safety of using cannabis is very straightforward. And smoking is just a component of cannabis utilization. Today, in 2019, there are very sophisticated forms of delivery, whether it's through tinctures or through edibles and even vaporizers. So when we think about clean, predictable medicine, those are really the medicines that we're looking to highlight. And so we're advocating for more research. And the reason why we don't know if it cures, if it causes cancer or not, is there has not been enough research. This is research that we're currently now doing ourselves to bridge the anecdotal stories to clinical stories. And I can tell you this, if you think all of it is anecdotal, and if you think that it doesn't have a place, 130 people die every day from opiate overdose.
Right.
50% of those deaths are people with a doctor's prescription in their pocket. And never has cannabis clinically killed anyone.
Well, somebody must know something, because the industry is getting ahead of regulations and taking off